People think evil arrives loudly. They expect warnings, danger signs, something that feels wrong from the start. But that's not how it happened. When I moved into that old apartment building, everything felt ordinary, almost comforting. The hallways were quiet, the lights flickered softly, and the neighbors seemed harmless. That's where I first met Adrian Cross. He didn't feel threatening. He felt perfect. Too perfect. He smiled like someone who had never been hurt, spoke like someone who never raised his voice, and helped like it was second nature. In a place where everyone kept to themselves, he was the only one who seemed to care. And that was the first mistake I made, confusing kindness with safety. At first, nothing was obvious. It was just strange moments that didn't belong. Things he shouldn't have known. Things he shouldn't have seen. Adrian would mention details about people's days as if he had been there. He knew when someone was home, when they were tired, when they were lying. Even when doors stayed closed and curtains stayed shut. People laughed it off. That's what makes it so easy to ignore danger. You convince yourself it's coincidence. You convince yourself you're overthinking. But the feeling never fully goes away, the feeling that someone is always one step ahead of you. Margaret was the first person who tried to say something out loud. She didn't explain much. She didn't need to. She just looked tired, like she had already seen too much. Before she left, she asked me a question that didn't make sense at the time. Something about Adrian being inside my apartment when I wasn't home. I said no. I laughed nervously. But she didn't laugh back. She just told me to lock everything. Every window. Every corner. Every blind spot. Then she left the building forever. And I wish I had understood why she was running. The first real crack in reality came quietly. Too quietly. A maintenance issue. A simple excuse. Adrian was the one who let them into my apartment. Nothing felt different when I came back, at first. But something was wrong. The air felt watched. Then I found it. A small camera hidden where it shouldn't exist. And another. And another. My stomach dropped because there was no explanation that made sense anymore. Only one truth remained: someone had been inside my life without permission. Not once. Repeatedly. And they had been careful enough that I never noticed until it was too late. The worst part wasn't the discovery. It was what came after. When I reported it, I expected help. Instead, I got doubt. Questions. Silence. Adrian didn't panic. He didn't run. He didn't even change his expression. He just stood there calmly, like everything was already under control. And somehow, that made me look unstable instead of him. That's when I learned something terrifying: truth doesn't matter if the wrong person looks more believable than you. The building had always felt old, but not dangerous. Until the basement. A hidden room no one admitted existed. A door that shouldn't have been there. And behind it, something far worse than anyone expected. Files. Photos. Records of people who thought they were living normal lives. Every detail organized. Every habit tracked. Every weakness quietly documented. It wasn't random. It wasn't curiosity. It was preparation. Like someone was studying human beings the way others study books. Everything about Adrian Cross was constructed. Not just his name, but his identity, his presence, even his personality. He didn't just live among people. He observed them. Learned them. Rebuilt himself around what would make them trust him most. He wasn't impulsive. He wasn't chaotic. He was patient. Methodical. Invisible in plain sight. And the most disturbing part wasn't what he did, it was how long he had been doing it without ever being stopped. Without ever being noticed for what he really was. I left that building, but I never fully left what happened inside it. Some nights I still think about how easy it all looked. How normal everything seemed right up until it didn't. That's the thing about fear, it doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it grows slowly inside silence. Now I notice things I used to ignore. Too much kindness. Too much calm. Too much perfection. Because I learned the hardest truth too late, evil doesn't always look evil. And sometimes, by the time you realize it, it's already too close.